Hello, Abigail here with the astrology of this week. This week, we are still winding down from that really impactful full moon in Sagittarius. So just be aware we do have some more squares after a very squarey week. But this week, we do kind of have a balance. We have planets shifting signs, we have a beautiful trine with Mercury in the North Node. We are moving into more ease and understanding. I also think that some of the squares have a bit of a different quality, especially because we're dealing with Cancer squares. Jupiter squaring off to planets, the Sun squaring off to planets. So a little bit different quality. Obviously, we've had the Jupiter Saturn square, which a fun one. But now we're moving into the Neptune square. But first, on Tuesday, we have Mars going into Virgo. Now, Mars in Virgo isn't detriment or fall or anything like that. However, it is an earth sign. And with the exception of Capricorn, Mars and earth signs, it does have to take on kind of a different approach. It is detriment in Taurus, and Virgo is kind of the neutral one, but you can end up getting lost in the details with Mars and Virgo. However, getting lost in the details is not always a bad thing. It's not always a problem to kind of go down a rabbit hole of information and find out, all of these interesting new things to add to your toolkit in order to do all of the Martian things that you need to do. So I think the only caution I would have is like, watch out for that obsession. Watch out for getting lost in a pocket of the internet or getting lost in a pocket of your life and feeling like you can't get out because you kind of are feeling overwhelmed by everything that is around you. Now, the bright side of this is Mars in Virgo is an investigator. Mars in Virgo knows how to cut down the process to get things done. So if you are streamlining something, this is the perfect transit for that. This is also a good transit to recognize when something's not essential or necessary. If it is not essential or necessary, let it go. If you don't kind of prune as you go with Mars and Virgo, you will get overwhelmed by just the amount of detail and the amount of stuff that has to be understood and compartmentalized. But if you can hone in and focus on what is truly important, Mars in Virgo is a very get it done moment. We get Mars in a mutable sign. They move pretty quickly. So, enjoy this for what it is, investigate, read, participate in thought, and also, hone down those processes, hone down, if you're trying to find a way to like create something and you do need to create a lot of them, this is the time to figure out how to do that. If you need to get your thoughts in order, Mars and Virgo is great for that. You just have to have the discernment to know what is important and what is not. Trust yourself. Also, just a reminder that at some point in this transit, we are going to hit those lunar nodes. So, not this week, but we will have that Mars South Node conjunction, which should be something special. But yeah, so Mars is going into Virgo. It is a very different vibe from Mars in Leo. Mars in Leo is a fellow fire sign. Mars likes fire. So Mars in Virgo is a little tricky, but I think used appropriately, Mars in Virgo is one of the most activating and forward thinking of the Mars placements in kind of a subversive way. And then we move on to that Jupiter Neptune square. So that Jupiter Neptune square happens on Wednesday. And it is interesting because we have this beautiful domicile Jupiter in Cancer, and then we have this in Aries Neptune. And Neptune in Aries is about this ethos and the quality of dreams and drive and desire and kind of the unlimited wordlessness of passion. And coming up against this tender, bountiful Jupiter in Cancer, I think the resistance here is knowing how to bring collective care into the space of individual fire and passion, into this space of ignition. And something that came to mind is this idea when we're talking about manifesting, and I don't manifest typically. Your average believing it to be true has just never worked for me. I have a really kind of funky chart for manifesting. I got a Venus Jupiter opposition and a lot of other stuff. Doesn't mean I can't. I just have to do it in different ways. But when manifesting, sometimes we focus solely on the self, on our desires and our needs. But the external things, our communities, all of these things impact us and the things that we manifest, and our manifestations impact them. And I think the challenge here with this Jupiter square is how do we bring these together? How do we bring this caring, collective, expansive Jupiter into this single focused, desire driven space of Neptune? And how we do that is we kind of meet in the middle and, we bring a little bit of that fire and passion and magical Neptunian energy with this Saturn square. And yeah, a lot of people talk about delusion when we have Neptune moments. Delusion's not all bad. In fact, most dreams, especially if you are someone who has limited resources or are a minority or come from a background that doesn't have much privilege, you need delusion to believe that you can succeed in a system that tries to destroy you. And I think if you harness this Jupiter Neptune square in a way that is helpful, I think it is a way to drive us forward in this ability to overcome the obstacles that seem impossible but are simply ideas put in place to keep us where we are. I think the counter to that is that it's easy to get discouraged coming into the square, seeing where things are, and it's easy to maybe feel a little hopeless and be like, oh, it's just too much, and we don't have enough time, and things are too hard, and like, Jupiter's over here in this really beautiful moment, and Neptune's asking us to do something difficult, and I don't like it. But on the other hand, it can be that kind of wild, passionate, revolutionary desire when Jupiter in Cancer hits Neptune, because they are quasi-related. The modern ruler of Pisces is Neptune, and the traditional ruler is Jupiter. And while they definitely have very different qualities and personalities, this idea of expansion and projection and belief that is encapsulated in both of them is very similar. So it's just a different flavor and a different kind. Neptune is more wordless and more unexplainable, and Jupiter tends to be a little more, a little more feet on the ground. So yeah, I encourage you not to give into despair. I encourage you to take this and take that square and the angst within that square and harness it for the things that you care about. Harness it for your desires. Believe in yourself. Believe in your communities. It can feel like those things can be conflicting sometimes. That's only because capitalism lies to us. It's not conflicting. Your success is tied to your community success. And the belief that being an individual is better than being a part of the group is wild. You know, we all naturally have our own individual qualities. We don't have to enforce that on a group. We are there naturally. So, it is going to be a little tricky. We are going to probably have to face some of our delusion and some of our dreams, but this is also a moment to choose to care more, to choose to engage in delusion, to push ourselves forward, to dream and hope beyond the limitations and the lack of imagination of society as it currently stands. So yeah, buckle up for Wednesday. And then on Friday, we enter into Cancer season. This Cancer season is definitely an interesting one. We have a lot going on. Some pretty big transits happening, some outer planet retrogrades. I'm going to do a full video on that as the companion to the tarot scopes. And I promise this time, guys, I am going to not do the astrological bit at the beginning of the tarot scopes because I do a month ahead anyways. And if you have multiple, placements in different signs, then you have to listen to me ramble. So we're going to go back to doing that. I was like, why did I do this again? And I was like, oh, it's because I don't want to make the tarot scopes too long. Anyways, also like and subscribe if you like my things. It helps me out. If you enjoy these videos, if you find them fun, if you like listening to me chit chat, share them, encourage other people to do so. But yeah, and then we got the Sun in Cancer. I will talk about that more in the Cancer season video. Then we have Mercury trine the North Node, and thank goodness we need some expansion. We need a portal right now. It just feels as though we need a trine really bad. A lot of it's been difficult. And we get this beautiful Mercury trine to the North Node, where thought and mind and the way we process things is in this really beautiful water sign. And, I say this all the time. Mercury in a water sign isn't for getting things done. It's not practical. It's not logical, but it is oh so beautiful, oh so artistic and divine. And um, even in Pisces, where it's detriment, it is about wordless communication. And the reason that Mercury is detriment in Pisces is because there's not really a language for that. And the language that we find, it's going to be things like art and music and dance. It's about interpretation in a water sign, not about what exactly is going on. And we have this trine with the North Node. This is a beautiful day for creativity. It is a wonderful day to come up with ideas for the future. It's a great day to dream up the magic that you want for the next however many months. Um, Usually in astrology, you kind of start from, for me at least, you start from like a 6-month pocket. So dream up what you want in the next 6 months and build on that as you go. But yeah, Saturday is a great day for magic and dreams and desire and artistry, going to an art fair, being around other creatives. If you don't see yourself as a creative person, yes, you are. Everyone is creative, just not everyone is going to make money off of it. And if you talk to any artist, it's a very tricky thing to monetize what you do artistically, but necessary. And I love it when they do it because I like to buy their stuff. Um, so yeah, it's a moment to really look to the future. I also think that Neptune square is going to give us a lot of great perspective on what we want to dream about and how we want to dream. And it's a great day to lose yourself and to find some really magical, beautiful moments. And then on Sunday, we have Sun square Saturn, which means that we're going to enter next week straight into Neptune square the sun. But we get Sun square Saturn. Anytime you hit a Saturn square, it is a kind of being hauled up short. We know that as I'm recording this, we're in that Jupiter square with Saturn. We're heading into it. So the Sun square Saturn is really about capacity. And in Cancer, it's like, what is your capacity for care of self? What is the capacity that you have to care for yourself? And Saturn is going to show you where you are pushing yourself too hard. And it's going to show you where things are not stable and where you're headed towards maybe a bit of a shambles because you're pushing yourself way too hard. So just know that that is what's coming up, what you're going to be dealing with. I don't think that the Sun square Saturn is like necessarily bad. It's only bad if you don't want to hear it. That's kind of how squares are. It's only really rough if you've been ignoring something or if you're really resisting it. And yeah, it can hurt and be emotionally distressing. I say this because I'm like, oh, I love squares, and then I hit one and I'm crying in my bedroom. But yeah, embrace what the universe is telling you. Listen to what those restrictions are. And instead of seeing them as something that gets in your way, see them as kind of a guideline for what works best for you. You're not meant to do everything. You're meant to do what you're meant to do. So take that to heart. And that is what's happening this week. I will be dropping the tarot scopes, and I promise you all I will be keeping them in a digestible form. And I will be making sure that I do the Cancer video and I don't ramble about astrology at the beginning of them. I'm sure some of you enjoy it, but I can also see how trying to listen to your tarot scopes and me going over the astrology at least 3 other times could be a lot. So yeah, this week there's a lot of opportunity for perspective. There's a lot of opportunity to listen to the universe and listen to our bodies. All right, my loves, I will see you in a different space and time. Don't forget to like and subscribe.